So this is the OMSIS Management Console. You'll see right off the bat that there's some interesting information. First of all, there's a PDF OMSIS manual. And there's also any OMSIS news that's relevant put here, so as we change things or add things, you'll see it show up every time you log into your system. Now, probably one of the most important parts of the whole system is we'd click on here, which is the Contact Manager, and here it is the calls to call back today. So I've just gone in, I'm taking a look at all of the people who are in the system, in our demo system. You will see down here the one that I entered, Dennis Wilson Demo. Let's click on that, go in and take a look. So the way that today's calls work is, today's calls is everybody that I'm supposed to contact today. So when I bring them up into the Contact Manager, I can see their name. I could set Dennis to a male because we know he is. We could change their phone number. We could add a work phone, a cellular or a mobile phone. We can track fax numbers, pagers numbers. We've got first email. We can set a priority. So let's say that because if we look down here, whoops, hang on. As we look down here, we'll see that the answers to the survey we did are that I'd like to earn $3,000 a month. I'd like to do it within a year. Hey, this is looking like a pretty serious guy, so I might just set him as a priority 1. And I can set a category. So depending on what advertising campaign he came from, I can actually set which category of lead this is for me. Now, the next thing I would do is, if I'm going to pick up the phone and call Dennis Wilson, I pick up the phone, I call Dennis Wilson, and I got a hold of him. My goodness, Dennis Wilson was home. I contacted him today, so I'd leave the Contacted Today button checked. And you know what? Dennis told me that he is going on holidays for 2 weeks. Please call back then. So, Dennis told me to call him back in 2 weeks. I can do one of two things. I can simply go in here and pick 2 weeks, or I could actually set the next follow-up specifically to whatever date I want. And as I hit the update button, what we'll see is this person will disappear from the today's calls because he's now been contacted, and the next date to contact him has been set out into the future. We're tracking the date added. You'll notice now, because I've updated it, showing as a male, priority 1 and category online ads, and you'll see that his next follow-up date is now set to July 25th. So I've just done a whole bunch of things that make your life easier, because down here you also see Dennis is going on holidays for 2 weeks. Please call back then. So the next time this guy shows up on your today's calls list, you're simply going to bring him up in the record. You're going to go in. You're going to have notes of everything you ever said to him and what's going on, and it becomes extremely easy to phone and follow up with this fellow, and he'll be wondering why you remember so much about him. Every time you contact him, you take notes on what you said. So let's go look at a few of the other features. We can actually track their whole address. So we'll see that the stuff that he entered in on a survey is there, but I can actually go in and put more details on the address in should I choose. Under the miscellaneous tab, I can actually do a client ID. This system is actually used outside of the MLM world as well. This is just a typical sales funnel software that we use. So client ID can be put in, email number 2. So we can actually track 2 emails. Now you'll notice if I put my mouse over the email 2, this will actually just spawn my Outlook with this fellow's email address in and allow me to send him an email very easily. I can track the websites that he has. I can track his spouse's name. I can track his anniversary date if he tells it to me, his birth date if he tells it to me. And of course, if I've checked these 2 buttons, I can actually have the system automatically send him an anniversary email or a birthday email. We can actually set this contact to not receive emails. Once we've set this contact to not receive emails, we can't reverse it. We'd have to delete them and re-enter them into the system, which is possible. This is so that it's a fail-safe. If someone says, please remove me, and you remove them, they are removed from everywhere in the system, and that way we don't have any spam complaints with this system. Okay, so we can also add custom data. Here you'll just see that there's not a lot of stuff in there, so let's add one. Custom data means anything that you feel that you want to track to help your business, you can actually track within the system. So if I want to add a new field, we'll say field number 2 because there's already a field number 1. Actually, we'll do 20. I like to do it 10 at a time because it makes it easier. Field text. What is a pet name? And we'll make it a text box. Update. So I've now just added to my system a place to track this contact, actually all my contacts' pet's name. So if the system doesn't track the specific information that you want, It's no big deal. You can just add to the custom data as many fields of information that you want to track, and you can keep track of it all nice and easy and in one place. So every time you call the people, you collect more and more information. So it's really just a professional sales tool that becomes a very, very effective way to prospect. So let's look at a couple of the other interesting components that we have available to us. One is the phone script. Phone script simply means that you can pre-populate the system with what you want to say to people. It's almost like a little web page builder where you can control all of the content, link one page to the next page, so you could literally follow through the process of, Dear John. You can use macros so that it automatically populates the right person's name in. Dear John, just phoning to see if you had a chance to look at that information I sent you by email. And then at the bottom you could have a link to the yes page and a link to the no page. And you could literally build your whole phone scripts so that you and your team would never have to think. You could just pick up the phone and do exactly what your upline or the person who helps you set the system up says, and you could have the same level of success that they have. So it's a very great feature in the system, the phone script population engine. Email contact, this is just a button to email this person directly from within the system, so that actually saves the fact that you emailed to them and what you emailed to them. So it's a little what you see is what you get editor. You can even test it to yourself before you send it to the real person. You enter the subject here, the body here, and you send the mail. Very simple stuff. And the final thing to talk about is the email subscription. Now, because this contact came through the auto prospecting side of things, it wasn't entered by hand, a couple of things happened when they filled in the form. As the form suggested, they'd be added to a follow-up series of emails. So here we're looking to see that this person's automatically been added to the follow-up series in the language of English, and currently they are active. So if I click on the edit, I can actually see that they were added to the subscription on the 11th of July 2006. I can see that the series they're added to, of all the ones available, is the follow-up series English. I can see that they're on email number 110, and I can see all these details about them. I can see that they're active, and I can see when the next date they're going to get an email is. The next date field is simply showing us when they'll get the next email, and because the first one hasn't gone out yet because it's too soon since we entered the lead, it's still not showing. As soon as the first one goes out, then the next date will be populated here. So I can go back to the contact page, or I could add another subscription. So maybe I wanted to add this person to some kind of a training series or some other kind of a prospecting series. I can do whatever I want with the subscriptions control. I'm just going to go back to the contact, and we're back to the original place that we took a look at. And we see all the notes. We see everything that is to be followed up. So this is where you'll spend most of your time. This was all coming to us from the today's contacts. So I'm going to go back to the home. This was today's contacts that we just looked at. I can see that there's a total of 19 subscriptions. I could jump in there to take a look at it subscription by subscription. I can edit their subscriptions from this place. So this is where I usually come. You can see that this fellow has actually canceled his subscription. So he has hit the remove instructions that are included in every page. I see that very clearly. But anyone who chooses not to hit the remove button and instead email you to complain and ask you to be taken off, or ask you to take them off their list, you can actually do that right here in this listing. Total contacts. So you can see that we have a total of 21 contacts, but we only had 19 on our today's calls, and that's because one was removed, and the other, if you recall, we set not to call back for 2 weeks. So this listing becomes where you can find every single person that's ever come through your system. You'll see that we can search for a name. We can search all the contacts or only the categories of contacts. We can display as many as we want in this list as we have. We can even add a contact.